The data clearly indicates a correlation between these phenomena, though further investigation is warranted. I've documented my preliminary findings in the archives. Should you wish to verify my conclusions, you'll find the methodology quite thorough and replicable. In the scorching Serengeti savannah, where the sun beat down mercilessly, turning the grass into a golden-brown carpet, two lions, a mighty male named Kai and a graceful but emaciated female named Nala, wandered in search of water. Their paws sank into the dry earth, and the hot winds scorched their fur. Kai, with his thick mane swaying in the wind, walked ahead, his eyes scanning the horizon intently. Nala, whose gait was heavy after long days of walking, kept close by, but her breathing was labored and her movements slow. They crossed the scorched plains, where sparse acacia trees cast meager shadows. Thirst burned inside them, and every step seemed like an ordeal. Their fur, covered with dust, glistened under the scorching sun, and sweat ran down their bodies, leaving dark marks on the dry soil. Finally, in the middle of the open field, like a mirage, a small puddle of water appeared, sparkling like a precious stone. The lions wasted no time in lowering their muzzles to the water. Nala drank slowly, enjoying the coolness, her eyes slightly closed in pleasure. Kaveh, as always, remained alert, his gaze wandering around the surroundings, looking for the slightest threat. The sun was at its zenith, turning the savannah into a blazing furnace. The lions, having drunk their fill, regained some of their strength, and their breathing became more even. But this moment of peace turned out to be only a brief respite. A giant African python slipped out of the tall grass like a shadow. Its scales shimmered in the sun, and its massive body undulated smoothly, like a river flowing across the ground. Perhaps the heat had forced it to leave its hiding place in search of coolness, or perhaps it was looking for prey. Either way, its presence did not bode well. Nala was the first to hear the rustling sound. She turned her head sharply and noticed the python approaching, its eyes glinting coldly. The lioness did not retreat. Her instincts took over. She stepped forward, sniffing at the snake's head as if studying its intentions. The python, sensing the threat, raised its head, its forked tongue flickering rapidly, its body tensing, ready to attack. Nala, wasting no time, grabbed the snake's head with her teeth and jerked it sharply, as if to show who was boss. But the python was no ordinary opponent. In response to the attack, it wrapped itself around the lioness with lightning speed, its powerful body squeezing her like a steel rope. Nala roared, trying to break free, but the snake's grip grew stronger. Her ribs cracked under the pressure, and her breathing became increasingly difficult. Kaveh, seeing his friend fighting for her life, rushed to her. He growled, his mane bristling, but he didn't dare attack, afraid of hurting Nala. His powerful paws trampled the ground, and his roar echoed across the savannah like a cry for help. The python, ignoring the lion, continued to squeeze Nala. Her eyes began to dim, and her body weakened under the merciless grip. Kaveh circled around, his heart torn with rage and helplessness. He snapped at the air, trying to find a way to intervene, but the python was too strong, and its movements too fast. It seemed that there was no hope, and the savannah was about to witness a tragedy. But at that moment, as if in response to Kay's desperate roar, the sound of an engine could be heard in the distance. Two rangers, Amina Kwesi and Thomas Lekele, were patrolling the Serengeti area in their well-worn jeep. They stopped when they heard an unusual roar that was different from the usual lion's roar. "That's not just a roar," Amina said, frowning. "Something's wrong." Thomas nodded, and without wasting any time, they headed toward the sound, dust rising from under the wheels of their vehicle. When the rangers arrived at the scene, they were met with a horrific sight. A giant python was wrapped around a lioness who was barely moving, while a huge lion paced nearby, roaring desperately. Amina and Thomas quickly assessed the situation without losing their composure. They understood that they had to act cautiously so as not to provoke either the python or the lion. Thomas grabbed a long stick lying nearby, and Amina armed herself with a metal rod from their car. They slowly approached, trying not to make any sudden movements. The python, noticing the people, raised its head, its tongue moved furiously, and its eyes narrowed. Amina shouted loudly to distract the snake, while Thomas began to tap its body lightly with his stick, trying to loosen its grip. Kai, as if understanding that the people were trying to help, took a few steps back, but his gaze remained fixed on Nala. The python, irritated by the interference, began to slowly uncoil its coils, but still held the lioness tightly. Amina, risking her own safety, moved closer and struck the snake's tail with a stick, distracting it. Thomas, seizing the moment, pulled hard on part of the python's body to ease the pressure on Nalu. Sweat dripped down their faces, and the tension grew with every passing second. Finally, after several minutes of struggle, the python, sensing that its prey was slipping away, loosened its grip and quickly slithered into the bushes, leaving only a trail on the ground. Nala collapsed to the ground, her body motionless, her eyes closed. Amina and Thomas rushed to her, checking her breathing. "She's alive, but barely breathing," Thomas said, opening his medical bag. Amina gently splashed water on the lioness's muzzle, hoping to revive her. But Nala's condition was too serious, and the rangers decided to use an emergency stimulant for large animals. Thomas took out a syringe, quickly disinfected it, and injected the drug into the lioness's thigh. Amina held her head to prevent any sudden movements. Kai stood aside, his eyes full of concern, but he did not interfere, as if trusting the people. The minutes dragged on painfully. Finally, Nala moved her paw slightly, her eyelids fluttered. "She's coming to," Amina exclaimed, her face lighting up with a smile. Thomas continued to monitor the lioness's breathing, feeling her chest begin to rise more evenly. Nala opened her eyes, her gaze was cloudy, but she was alive. The rangers backed away, giving the lioness space. Kaveh slowly approached her, his muzzle touching her cheek, and began to lick her gently, as if to calm and encourage her. Nala, still weak, tried to stand up. Her paws trembled, but she found the strength to rise. The rangers watched the scene with relief, realizing that their efforts had not been in vain. "It's time to go back," Thomas said, wiping the sweat from his forehead. "She'll be fine." They got into the jeep and slowly drove away, leaving the two lions in the savannah. Nala took a few wobbly steps and Kai walked beside her, supporting her with his body. They stopped at the same puddle where it all began, and drank again, but now their movements were more cautious, and their gazes more attentive. The Serengeti savannah continued to live its life. The python disappeared into the thickets, but the lesson it left behind remained with the lions forever. Nala and Kai continued on their way, their silhouettes dissolving into the golden haze of sunset. Their steps were slow but sure, and their bond was stronger than ever. Amina and Thomas, returning to base, recorded the incident in the patrol log. For them, it was not just another day at work, but a reminder of why they had chosen this profession. Every animal they saved was a reward for them, and every story was proof that there is room for hope and humanity in the wild. This story is about the fragility of life, the power of nature, and those who stand guard over its balance. In the Serengeti, where every day brings new challenges, survival is an art woven from vigilance, courage, and unity. Thank you for reading this story. If you liked it, please support us by liking and subscribing to our channel.